everyone, welcome back to my channel Fluoresce Me. And today's topic is going to be about blackface in South Korea and Sam Okyere, the breaking point. One of my subscribers and friends shared this video with me, and I watched it and a couple of other videos that talked about the same situation. And I was really upset and annoyed, mainly about we have to once again deal with this nonsense. Like, what part of blackface is wrong that people don't understand? So we're going to talk about a couple of things, mainly about Sam Okyere's Instagram post of the high school graduate that did blackface, copying a trend of a meme that was most popular that year. This apparently is in high school tradition, but sparks started to fly when the most famous black man in South Korea didn't find it amusing and share his disappointment on his Instagram. Okay, so before we start talking about the post, let's just talk about what blackface is in general. Because when I saw the other videos, they only talked about Sam Okyere's post, which to me, when you're trying to defend either side that you're on, you need to start from the beginning. What is blackface? Blackface, noun, the makeup used by a non-black performer playing a black role. The minstrel shows that introduced blackface were performed in the 1830s in New York, where white performers with blackened faces and tattered clothing who mimic enslaved Africans on southern plantations. These performers characterized blacks as lazy, stupid, superstitious, someone who's gullible, hypersexual, someone who's addicted to sex, prone to thievery, and being a coward. In other words, it was another way to destroy African image, to historically imagine Africans not fully human. Even though the 1930s of blackface declined after the civil rights movement, unfortunately, the negative stereotypes of blacks and the mocking of dark skin have persisted in recent decades. Basically, it didn't go nowhere. We're calling it something else, or better yet, making excuses for it. Blackface in South Korea. Now, blackface and the stereotypes of blacks in South Korea is an ongoing controversy till this day. One of the worst ones I've seen was back in 2012 when Lee Gi-kwon, a member of the K-pop group Beast or B2ST, appeared on a TV show in full blackface with the afro, exaggerated drawing on lips, while eating a watermelon. Another one 3 years ago, back in 2017, when the South Korea broadcasters SBS show Laughing Legend Match aired a comedy sketch featuring character in full blackface dancing to the Circle of Life from the Disney movie The Lion King. From the article in the Korean Times, expert says Korea's blackface comedy dates back all the way to the 1980s. Despite its racist elements, such comedy wasn't criticized much back then until K-pop started grabbing the worldwide attention. So basically this has been going on for about 30, 40 years. And that's enough time to shape a person's mind to believe the stereotypes and lies on what another culture is like, especially when their history books within that country don't even teach about the history of the culture they're making a mockery of. The issue with Sam's post. So the videos I've watched, and a lot of people from South Korea, was basically saying the same thing. That he shouldn't post the picture exposing the graduate faces and locations, and basically he didn't care about their privacy at all. And apparently there is some type of rule that you can't post minors with their face exposed, or you need some type of permission. But what I don't understand is that why people are so angry at him. Because this post was already viral way before he reposted on his Instagram. Millions of people saw this post and had their comments on it way before he put it on his Instagram. Also, I want to make clear, just in case anyone forgot or don't understand how social media works. When you post anything on any social media website where anyone from anywhere across the world can view it, screenshot it, or repost it with the location and whereabouts visible for any eyes to see, you're exposing yourself to any reaction, whether it's positive or negative. You're putting yourself at risk to be judged by other people that is not of your own point of view. And if it goes viral, then you have the whole world coming after you, whether it was your intention or not. So if the original post did not have the graduate faces blurred out and the location off, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm pretty sure this guy didn't repost this for millions of people to attack them. No. He posted this to bring awareness of blackface. And like I said, the post was already viral before Sam Okyere reposted it. So to blur their faces really wouldn't have made a difference. Now my theory on this is that the real reason why a lot of people from South Korea was upset at Sam Okyere because he saw this in a negative point of view. The most famous black man in South Korea that's from Guyana, where the meme from the blackface came from, did not find it funny. He actually found it very offensive and expressed that on his Instagram. And it made them look bad. Because honestly, if he would have found it funny and congratulated them, like the pallbearer did, I honestly think people wouldn't have cared about him exposing their faces and location because it would be seen as a positive point of view. Let's talk about what he wrote. Sam Okyere wrote how he felt about the blackface matter in two languages, Korean and English, which are two completely different types of language. The two things people were upset about was that one, he wrote in two different languages, and two, he was so polite in the Korean language and so impolite in the American language. Now, I'm no expert in the Korean language. I only took one course at a university to study the language and cultures and customs. And my teacher was great at laying the foundation about the language. And as a foreigner, it is very important to use formal language in most of your conversations so you don't offend anyone. So formal is the proper way to write and speak when you address an issue in Korea. And that's what he did. Since American English is my native tongue, I can see and I can say I didn't see anything wrong with what he said or how he said it. This is our formal and proper way of speaking when we address a serious issue such as this. He didn't use profanity. He didn't call anyone any types of names. He was upset about this situation. It may came out strong, but there was nothing wrong with what he said. The part of him about writing in two different languages, the people from South Korea felt like he did that to take a jab at their ability to read English. I honestly call BS because he never said that. And he posts many pictures with captions in two different languages before. And some of his followers don't speak Korean. So people getting upset about that, I feel like just trying to detour from the real issue at hand. Case in point, remember when Trump attacked the whole Asian culture when he said that this current pandemic is caused by a Chinese virus? Remember he said that mess? He did it to detour the people in the States from the real issue at hand. The government had no real plan to prepare for this pandemic. And also to deter from the questions of why did the government lie about when it hit the United States? Because no one cared when it got here. They just want to know, why did you lie And what are your real plans to prepare? Same thing with this post. Him writing in two language is irrelevant. It's just to take the focus off the real problem that needs to be addressed. Why is blackface still going on in South Korea? Also, people were upset about this little statement right here when he said, and I quote, "You put so much effort into educate people here in Korea and make them understand that you can appreciate a culture without making a mockery of the people. This has to stop in Korea. This ignorance cannot continue." And out of that whole statement, everyone focused on only two words: educate and ignorance. Okay, so let's break this down in my point of view. So when he said you put so much effort to educate people here in South Korea, it wasn't in the sense of making anyone feel like an imbecile or uneducated. No, because there were countless times this man appeared on TV shows talking about the colorism and racism that he experienced in South Korea and taking his time out to explain and show to the people of South Korea that what you guys think black people are like is wrong. This is who we are. This is what we look like. No, we have not been in the sun too long. No, our skin color doesn't identify how rich or poor we are. We come in all different shades. This is my culture, and my black people are beautiful. What are you guys are doing with blackface is making a mockery of it, and it's very expensive. This man, and I seen, you can go on YouTube right now, how he talked about this over and over and over and over again. Now, when he said this ignorance cannot continue, let's look up the definition of ignorance. Ignorance, noun, lack of knowledge or information, similar to incomprehension, failure to understand something, unawareness, inexperience, lack of knowledge about, lack of information about. Which is all of these things are true. A lot of you guys in South Korea and in other countries, might I add, do not know the real history behind blackface and what true motive it was behind it also. What hurt, pain, and anger from the effects and after effects of blackface caused black people till this day. The stereotype that black people constantly receive from you guys about their character just by the color of our skin. Because someone thought it was funny to paint a picture or play a part to define black people as lazy, stupid, thieves, dangerous, to the point of that what most of what you guys believe is who we are today. The butt of someone's joke. A pun to laugh at. Not a human being. A lot of you guys are not educated on black history because they don't teach it over there. Because if they did, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be having these type of conversations right now. So I understand why so many of you guys are upset, because he's telling the truth. This ignorance, this lack of knowledge or information about blackface, this incomprehension to failure to understand that blackface is wrong and it cannot continue. Because when he did Asian Eyes on the TV show that asked all the cast members to do a funny face, you guys were very quick to educate him about his ignorance of how offensive Asian Eyes were. And he understood, apologized, and didn't do it again. So I don't get how come you guys can't do the same. He really didn't know the culture. But when someone said, hey, what you're doing is offensive to the Asian culture, he automatically understood. So why can't you guys do it either? At some point, it's not going to be the lack of knowledge anymore. It's going to be, you know it's wrong and you don't care. So we're going to talk about the apology where he took down the original post and issued an officially apology to the graduates and the people of South Korea. And You can guess this, right? People was angry about that too. So let's see what he said. Sorry for the photo and post I posted. It wasn't my intention to belittle the students at all. I tried to express my opinion, but I crossed the line, and I'm sorry for posting pictures without permissions of the students. I respect their privacies of the students. Didn't do it well in that part. In the part written in English, it is absolutely not the education of Korea is wrong. I will give you a misunderstanding interpretation part. I didn't mention Korea's education, but it was a post that could be misunderstood enough. I didn't know K-pop body was talking bad about Korean K-pop. If I knew, I wouldn't have used the hashtag at all. I thought it was too simple. I've had a lot of love in Korea for a long time, but I think it's a bit awkward due to this time. I like to say I'm sorry again, and I will be Sam Okyere, who learned more from now on. So the people were upset about two things, and both sides were upset about this. One side were upset that he only wrote the apology in Korean, and the other side was upset that he even apologized in the first place. Okay, so the first issues and why he only posted the apology in Korean. And my theory is that, well, mostly only Korean people were upset about the first post. You guys made a big issue about everything he did wrong in your eyes. That he didn't think about the graduates' privacy. That he wrote in two languages because you thought he was belittling your ability to read English. So of course he only going to write in one language this time. You guys made such a big deal out of it, like you're contradicting yourself at this point. Now, the other side that was upset that he even apologized in the first place, they was asking him, why are you apologizing? You had nothing to be sorry for. And when I saw the apology, I'm not going to lie, I was furious at how many times he said sorry at one, and then the last sentence that just really made me so angry when he said, I will be Sam Okyere, who learns more from now on. I felt like he was forced to give up for what he was fighting for and change his view to fit the society that really didn't like him in order to just live or to get people off his back. But I had to realize that he is a celebrity, and there are certain things that come with being a celebrity over there. Also, he has a publicist, probably whose job is to make him look good, and a company that he works for that maybe contribute or encourage his apology posts. Also, another theory. I don't know what was going through his mind at that point. Drastic times calls for drastic measures, and he probably was like, okay, I have to think about what's at stake because he has a family to take care of. Now, this should be the end of this, right? Everyone try to be understanding, everyone should be moving on. Nope. Because what I'm about to say next is the icing on the cake. There was a petition on Blue House to have Sam Okyere deported for deceiving South Korea, which provided him with conveniences and security that he would not have been able to enjoy in Guyana. Now, if you don't know, Blue House is a strong petition website that they have in South Korea, that if the petition get over 200,000 signatures, the presidential office is required to issue an official statement. Now, the petition was blocked by Blue House, but not until it sparked support for Sam on Twitter with the hashtag #IStandWithSamOkyere. One of the articles I read that talked about Sam Okyere's situation pointed out something that I hadn't realized. It stated, None of the South Korean idols and celebrities who spoke out on their social media in favor of the Black Lives Matter movement, none of them appeared to be coming to Sam Okyere's defense, which points out the hypocrisy and double standards, which raised a lot of questions for me. Are you really standing with us for the Black Lives Matter, or are you saving face? Do you really care about the treatment blackface in other countries? And do you think the treatment blacks receive in South Korea is okay? And 3, how do you have so much confidence on speaking about racial issues within someone else's country, but have not yet spoken on the racial issues within your own country? Because I've seen a lot of very popular solo artists, K-pop groups, models, actors, and actresses come out to show their support for the Black Lives Matter protests, but have not yet addressed, and I mean truly addressed, the racism and colorism that happens within their own backyard. You can't say you don't know it's not happening. You see it all over TV stations. They ask you to dress up in full blackface, to do skits. So you can't say you never seen it happen. Address blackface. Use your platform to spread awareness. This would definitely be the best time to start. But some of you guys want to address that your fandom is segregated by the color of their skin. You know who you are. So the excuses that they're too young to know what they're doing or to care is wrong. When there's a worldwide protest for Black Lives Matter trying to educate people that black people are human too, is not a good enough excuse for me. Because it's at your fingertips. There is literally a computer that can research anything you want within the matter of seconds at your fingertips. The excuse are they're too old, and that's the culture. It's not good enough. You are never too old to learn to respect another person, no matter how dark or light their skin color is, because you will want that same treatment, that same respect. The excuse, since we did it for so long and we never got in trouble for it, so we're going to continue to keep doing it, is not a good enough excuse for me. Because you don't like when someone makes stereotypes about your culture. So why do you feel like it's okay to do the same within another person's culture? The excuses need to stop. And before you say, well, one of the pallbearers didn't have a problem with it, so why are you guys all mad? Because one individual cannot speak for an entire race, common sense. 2, this guy probably haven't been to South Korea and experienced the way that some of you guys treated Sam Okyere. I'm talking about the ones who kicked them out of their own places of business because his skin was too dark. And you bystanders that just let it happen even though you knew it was wrong. The pallbearer probably doesn't know the years of mockery the South Korean TV shows have done and the negative stereotypes you guys believe about black people there either. And it's not all, but it's still majority. And one of my personal issues that I seen no one really talked about was that where were the parents? Where were the teachers? Where were the principal, the vice principal, the counselors, any adult that should have had the common sense to say, whoa, 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 this is wrong? I'm pretty sure one of you guys knew about this. Where were you guys? Where were you guys to say, hey, I understand what you're doing, but this might send the wrong message. I know you may mean no harm, but the world won't see it that way. Where was an adult? Since you guys want to holler that these are children that don't know any better. Okay, where are the adults that do know better? So, that was my take on this whole situation. And once again, before you comment, please do your research. Do your own research on blackface. You can start by Googling blackface or the history of blackface. Another way to learn about it is to watch the PBS Reconstruction, American After the Civil War, Part 2, Hour 2, Episode 4. And also, Google the history of blackface in South Korea. And Google a high school student's history books in South Korea, as I did, to try to understand why is this still going on over there. So my question is to you. How many times you stereotype a person that don't look like you in a negative way? How many times have you clutched your purse or walked on the other side of the street when you saw a black person walking next to you? How many times have you gotten up from your seat from a train or on the bus because a black person sat next to you, or you refused to sit next to a black person? How many times you sat there and watched a person of color get mistreated? See, writing or posting or marching, yelling Black Lives Matter is not enough. It has to be a part of your daily lives to impact change. So my challenge is to anyone that's listening. How about every time you want to believe the stereotype of a person, how about you actually get to know that person and learn about their culture and custom before you judge them? How about you judge every individual based on their own character and personality like it should be done? We're not living in those dynasty areas where the color of your skin defines the worth of your being. So it's time for the excuses to stop. You're only creating a generation that thinks it's okay to disrespect someone else's culture when you have an excuse for it. Think about it this way. Do you like it when people make stereotypes about your race and culture? No. So why do you think that we're okay with you doing it to us? Alright, you guys, that was the end of this video podcast. Please tell me what you guys think. Want to comment below. Please do your own research on blackface. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.